Pay attention to who feels lighter after they speak to you. Because if they walked away relieved and you're sitting there replaying that conversation and feeling strange, it means that you could have been their dumpster. And if you're watching this, chances are that you've been someone's emotional container already. And probably people go to you to vent. You get it. You absorb everyone's anxiety, frustration, criticism, and you somehow make people feel better. And you at the same time feel worse. And here's the thing that we rarely talk about. Some people don't criticize you because you did something wrong. They criticize you because they feel something uncomfortable and they need to put it somewhere. So today we're going to talk about why criticism makes people feel better, what's actually happening inside them when they criticize you, and why it's so damaging to relationships. Most importantly, how you stop being the person that people dump on. Let's start with something important. Dr. John Gottman, one of the leading researchers on relationships, identified what he calls the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. It's four communication patterns that predict the end of a relationship with over 90% accuracy. So the first horseman is criticism. It's not feedback or complaint. A complaint says, I felt hurt when you didn't call me back yesterday. And criticism says, you never talk about anyone but yourself, or you're so selfish. A complaint is about behavior. Criticism is an attack on character. It says there's something fundamentally wrong with you. And Gottman found that criticism is the gateway to the other three horsemen: contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. So once criticism becomes the norm in a relationship, the relationship is already dying. Because here's what criticism does. It doesn't solve problems. It doesn't create connection. It makes one person feel bigger and the other person feel smaller. And if you're someone who's empathetic, who tries to understand, who takes responsibility, you are the perfect target, because you'll actually absorb the criticism and you will turn it inward, asking yourself, is that true? Am I really like that? At the same time, the person who criticized you will feel better. And let's talk about why they actually feel better after they criticized you. Why does criticizing you make someone feel lighter and more energetic? Because criticism is an emotional offloading mechanism. It's a way to discharge discomfort without actually dealing with it. Here's what's happening inside people. They're holding something they don't want to feel. Maybe it's shame, anxiety, their own sense of inadequacy. They feel discomfort, but they are not capable of sitting with it. They cannot process it. They cannot take responsibility for it. So they put it into you. They project their shadow onto you. Carl Jung talked about the shadow, the parts of ourselves we can't accept, so we deny them and see them in other people. If someone criticizes you for being too sensitive, you need to ask yourself, are they actually the one who can't handle their own emotions? If someone says you're selfish, could it be that they feel guilty about their own needs? If someone accuses you of not caring, is it possible that they're the one struggling with connection? Criticism is often a mirror. They are telling you what they can't face in themselves. People who are self-aware don't really need to criticize because they take responsibility. They say, I'm feeling anxious about something, or I'm struggling with something. They own their experience. And people who are not really self-aware externalize. They make you the problem. So they don't have to look at themselves because it's too painful, it's difficult, they're not capable. They don't even know they're doing it. It's subconscious. Their nervous system finds a pressure release valve. Criticism is a control mechanism. When someone criticizes you, they're trying to shape your behavior to manage their own anxiety. They say you're too loud, or your energy makes me uncomfortable, so I need you to shrink. Or they say you're too much, and it means that I can't handle my own feelings around you, so I need you to be less. They say you're not enough. It's because they feel insecure and they need you to feel smaller so they can feel bigger. It's not about you. That's very important to understand. It's about their need to control the environment so they feel safe in that environment. And when they criticize you, they feel relief because for a moment they're not holding that discomfort anymore because they gave it to you. You're holding the discomfort. They transferred it, and their nervous system feels like, whew. Watch them after they criticize you. Notice how their shoulders drop, how they exhale. They seem fine. Meanwhile, you are sitting there thinking about the conversation, questioning yourself. You feel heavy. That's the transfer. That's the container dynamic. And if you're an empathetic woman who's been trained to care for everyone's feelings, then it means that most likely you've been in that role many, many times. Let's talk about what criticism does to you. Well, first of all, it makes you feel small and inadequate. Like there's something fundamentally broken about you and you need to fix it. And if you grew up in an environment where you were criticized a lot, your brain learned to brace for it. You became hyper vigilant. You started scanning for what you did wrong before anyone even said anything. And you became that person who runs to apologize first and takes the blame and is constantly trying to make sure that everyone else is okay. So you become this emotional container. And people can feel that. They can sense that you will hold it. So they keep handing it to you. Criticism also disconnects you from yourself because when you're constantly absorbing other people's judgments, you lose touch with your own internal compass. You stop trusting yourself. You start living in reaction to what other people think instead of what you know to be true. Over time, you burn out because, you can't be everyone's dumpster and still have space for yourself. So what do? How do you stand up when someone criticizes you without being defensive or attacking them back or without shutting down and stonewalling? Step 1, pause and recognize that transaction. When someone criticizes you, your first job is not to respond, it's to notice and ask yourself, is this about me? Or is this something they need me to carry? If it's wrapped in a character attack, like you always, you never, then it means that they're not giving you feedback, but they're delivering something to you. And you don't have to accept every package handed to you. Step 2, don't absorb it. It's the hardest part, especially if you're empathetic, because your first initial instinct is to take it in, see if it's true. But you can consider criticism without absorbing it. You ask yourself, is there any truth here that I can learn from? And absorption sounds like, they're right, I'm terrible, I always do this. What is wrong with me? That's absorption. You see the difference? One is discernment. The other is internalization. You only need the first one. Step 3, use the antidote to criticism, and it's called a gentle startup. Gottman's research shows that the antidote to criticism is turning complaints into requests. So if someone criticizes you, you can model yourself what healthy communication actually looks like. Instead of defending yourself, you can say, I hear that you're frustrated. Can you tell me specifically what you need? It sounds like something is bothering you. What would be helpful here? This does 2 things. First of all, it refuses the character attack and it redirects the conversation towards solution, and it makes you a researcher in that situation. So you take an observing stance, and you're not doing this to fix them. You're doing it to maintain your boundary. You're saying, okay, I'm willing to talk about behavior. I'm not willing to talk about my character. Step 4, if they double down, disengage. If someone responds to your boundary with more criticism, more character attacks, more blame, they're not trying to communicate. They're trying to discharge their... And you don't have to stay for that. You can say, I'm open to talking about this when we can do it respectfully. Or, I'm going to step away for now. We can revisit this later. And then you leave. Physically, emotionally, energetically, you remove yourself from that transaction. It is your self-preservation. You have right to do that. Step 5, get curious about your part. After the conversation, when you're calm, ask yourself, why did I stay in that conversation as long as I did? What made me think I had to defend myself? What belief do I have that made me feel responsible for their feelings. Because you can't stop people from criticizing you, but you can stop making yourself available as their emotional dumpster. And that's about examining your own patterns, your own conditioning, your own need to be liked or to keep the peace or to prove to them that you're good. Criticism shuts people down. It activates defensiveness. It makes them want to protect themselves. And it's like it closes their ears. They can't hear you. But a gentle startup invites collaboration. It says, we're on the same team. Let's figure this out together. If you are in a relationship where criticism has become the norm, you have two main choices. Choice one, model the antidote. Start using gentle startups yourself. Stop attacking their character or start describing feelings. Start making requests and see if the other person can meet you there. Or choice two, you can create distance. If the other person can't or won't stop criticizing you, if every conversation is a character attack, if they feel better after they tear you down and refuse to take any responsibility for their actions, you may need to create distance. You must protect yourself. Here's what I want you to understand. If you've been an emotional container your whole life, you did not become that by accident. Somewhere along the way, you learned that your value came from being useful. You need boundaries. When you say, I am not available for that, it signals self-respect. Refusing to absorb someone else's discomfort helps you to protect yourself. And letting people feel the weight of their emotions is allowing them to grow, because you're not responsible for managing everyone's anxiety. You're not responsible for making sure no one ever feels uncomfortable. You're not responsible for being small so other people can feel big. Your job is to live your life. Your job is not to be supporting character in everyone else's life. So the next time someone criticizes you, pause, ask yourself, is this about me or is this something they need me to carry? And if it's the latter, set it down. Not defensively, just set it down. Say, I'm not picking that up. No, I don't like this package. I don't like how it smells. And walk away later. Because some comments are containers and you don't have to open every one. Pay attention to who feels better after they talk to you. And then pay attention to how you feel. Because if you're always the one left holding the weight, it's time to stop being everyone's emotional dumpster. You deserve to feel light as much as you need to. Take care.